topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the heart. Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the heart. Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the heart.
Hello, my name is Gloria Partida, and I am the chair of the Davis Phoenix Coalition, which is a nonprofit in the city of Davis, California, that works on issues related to diversity and inclusion. We are really excited to be celebrating Kwanzaa by highlighting the members of our community that exemplify the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And I am standing in today for Bahia Yatsen, who is typically in this spot. I'm so honored to do so. Our guest for today's show is Camica Edwards. Camica is a daughter, sister, mother, counselor, co-advisor of Black student unions, and teacher of a program called Sankofa Saturday, a free academic program to supplement traditional schooling. The purpose is to learn Black history and Kwanzaa principles in a community classroom. This is designed for 3rd to 6th grade students. And Camica Edwards shares that the program originated by divine download in December 2021 to honor her father's memory. Here she broadens listeners' understanding of the cultural practice and principles of Kwanzaa. So DJ, if you could bring Camica on. Hello, Camica.
Hi, Gloria.
So I'm so excited that we are on this show together. I mentioned that our organization, the Davis Phoenix Coalition, takes this time to highlight members in our community that exemplify principles of Kwanzaa, and we ask communities to nominate somebody, and it's a great way to make visible often the people in the margins in our community, because Davis is a predominantly white community, and very often people of color get very separated from each other, and so I think that it's really important to highlight the fact that we have this beautiful diversity in our community, and this is a great opportunity to do that. I'm excited to hear about your program, so if you can jump right in and give us that information.
Great. I am glad to be here as well, and I'm grateful to Bahia for the invite, and I'm grateful for the work you do in the community to be an anti-racist ally and, just level the playing field for people of color. We just want equity and opportunity and equality like everybody else. So I am proud to be African American. Sometimes I say Black, and I've been in education for over 23 years, I think. And have been a black educator 23 years, and have seen some things, and with my Black skin, my Black eyes, my Black feelings, so I'm the daughter of a Mississippi sharecropper. My dad's name is Willie Edwards, and I want to say his name on this day especially because the 28th always reminds me of the day that we lost him to a heart attack. So I'm going to just shout out my recently deceased, well-loved father of 47 years, Willie Lewis Edwards, great man who instilled a lot of these principles in me and my 2 sisters. Is there an ancestor that you want to shout out real quick?
You caught me off guard. I've
I know
I
you had
would.
so many that you had within
Yes, I
family.
do. I do. But I always think of my great aunt who raised me, and her name was Eusebia Valles, and
Yes,
her nickname was Chavita. And she
Chavita.
never had any children of her own, but she raised so many of my cousins and myself that uh, very often parents were working two jobs and
Yes,
trying to make ends meet, and there was always those elders that were
yes,
tasked with the raising of the kids and were great supports. And so
yes.
um, yeah, she was very, you know, very much always in the background. And
Hmm.
so
She
I
didn't like all the attention and credit and nothing like
no,
that.
no,
Mm-mm.
yes. And I think, also traditionally women were, tended to be in the background, but they did
Yeah.
most of the work. And she definitely did most of the work.
Well,
Yeah.
shout out to your auntie.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yes.
I think,
And thank you for sharing that, that this is an honor for your father, because
yes,
it's special.
yes, definitely. He's the one that raised us celebrating Kwanzaa, and so it makes sense. And what I mean by divine download is those middle of the night brainstorms that we get, and you have a paper and pencil by the bed, and you're like, this is a wonderful idea. I'm going to do it. And so
Yes.
Sankofa Saturday was one of those divine downloads, wanting to continue teaching Black history and refusing to not be included and just wanting to have a baby BSU because we have junior high BSUs and high school BSUs. And so this was my small effort to bring Black history and Kwanzaa principles to the Davis community. Um, Davis Community Church hosted us from August of last year to April to August, and we had 10 sessions, and all of them had engagement, all of them had a preview, all of them had a what, why, how standard and learning objective, and just um, wanting, every Saturday a kid showed up. And I really do believe in the one. And sometimes there were as many as five or six, and we had helpers from the I had volunteers from the community, to help that look like me, and we just don't get that opportunity a lot. Um, and kids don't get that opportunity in elementary schools that often. And so Sankofa Saturday was a way to honor my dad's community service that he was raised with, and I get to teach. I get to scratch that itch of teaching too.
Yes, yes. So I think it's really important, as I mentioned in Davis, we are so, minorities really are very, very much a minority. And I am always frustrated because the resources for minorities in Davis are very, very small, and the opportunities are very small. And because it's an affluent community, I think people feel that, we don't need those resources, but to the people who are on the margins actually need them more than minorities that are in other areas where there's a lot of folks who are in the same boat, who are having the same experiences. It's very isolating to be in a predominantly white
Very,
community, and then to be under resourced in a community that is affluent. So just the isolation gets really thick, I think, in
yeah.
Davis.
I appreciate that you
And
understand that representation does indeed matter.
yes, absolutely. And just learning about your culture and things, and the just the things that are important really resonate with folks. When my daughter was growing up in Davis, she's 40 now. Um, I had to drive her over to Woodland so that she could participate in the Flocorico program that was there. Um,
Mhm.
and it was really wonderful for her.
Yes.
It just
Probably
kind of
one of your
filled
best
her
mommy
soul.
decisions.
Yes, it filled her soul So tell us a little bit about the Kwanzaa principles and how it was that your family, um, it sounds like they really, you know, took off. I mean, it took off in your family, and it's not something that is true for all families. And I
Yeah.
know that even in my own culture, there are, you know, a lot of traditions that we've had to work at to keep alive and to
Yes.
make sure that like our young people know them, and otherwise they just kind of evaporate.
Yes. So true. And a lot of our cultures depend on oral storytelling, and and that takes time and space to give our elders the time to speak, and then we need to give them an audience to listen. So um, I think that is one of the main foundations that Kwanzaa reminds me of, is to honor the ones who came before you. And so an overview of the principles. It looks like 7 principles. They're all Swahili words. They're all created by Dr. Malana Karenga in 1966, and this was after the Watts riots in LA. And so I think he was like, it's time for us to be celebrated. We are not who they say we are. And we have a rich history that goes back to Africa. And, so Kwanzaa is a time to learn your true history. And the first candle is unity, or the Swahili word is umoja. So remember where you came from and come together as a community to embrace that and be proud of that. So that's the first principle, umoja. Um, I think um, I want to pause after each one to give people like an example of something, like, because I can ramble for 7 principles, and that's a lot. I don't want to do that. So
That's
are
I
you
love
okay with
that.
me
I
stopping?
love
And
that, absolutely. And I
yeah,
have to say that I'm really excited to be having this conversation with you because there are some principles where I can't wrap my mind around, you know, what
yeah.
the idea is.
Let's make it
Like
practical.
it,
Let's make it real.
right. So it sounds like it makes sense. I know what the word means, but I
Yes.
don't know what the action looks like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Right.
honoring our ancestors is our foundation. Staying connected to our roots. So there's in a Kwanzaa display, there's usually a plant that helps us remember to stay connected to your roots, and
Um,
keep watering the soil of the present. You have to continue to do that action in order for the seed in the soil to grow. And the seed is our future, and that's represented by green everywhere. When you talk about Kwanzaa, the green is our future, our land, the motherland, and so the youth. So it's all connected: the past, the present, and the future. If you keep that theme in mind, um, and it's connected to this time of year because I think the misconception is it's not Black Christmas, it doesn't replace Christmas, and it's not a religious holiday, are the three main misconceptions that I hear about Kwanzaa. So not Christmas, not Black Christmas. It's not to take the place of Christmas, and it's not it's really to downplay the commercialism that Christmas has become, just like all the other holidays. And now Kwanzaa is one of them too. I got my cute little outfit online. Yeah, um, I think the idea of the internet and people putting products out there is hopefully to spread awareness, which is why I'm glad to be talking about. Unity is the first candle. That's the black candle. We light that on the December 26th. And so we grew up having displays in my home, my childhood home. And I was in programs and presentations that my parents sponsored or hosted, along with
mm.
other members in the community. And so that's how I got, wrapped in, or, brought into the family tradition of celebrating Blackness, and, being African, and being proud. So, so this year I just really wanting to really reflect on my principles of how I'm trying to be in alignment with myself. So I took a different spin on unity this year. And so I'm on Christmas winter break. And so this year for December 26th, I decided on focusing on how I can become one with my values, how my actions can line up with
Oh,
my values.
wonderful.
So that type of oneness within, and so there's, also there's unity in the community, but there's also that alignment that takes place within. So at one of our conversations, we've talked about how your organization was started because of disunity in the community, right? And so
Yes.
your organization is all about unity, isn't it?
Yes, yes. So absolutely, it is about finding that common ground, right, across our
Yes.
differences, because you absolutely need that uh, to prevent violence. So our the the overarching mission um, of our organization is the prevention of hate motivated violence,
Yes.
and our belief is that you can't be violent against yourself. I mean, you have to really um, make somebody an other. You have to really other someone and make them a non-human for you to inflict violence on them. And if we have that common ground and we understand the places that we are connected, because we are different, there is the diversity, but there are
And that's a beautiful thing.
intersections. There are so many wonderful
And
intersections,
that's beautiful.
and those intersections, that is unity, and the places where we unite, right?
Yes. I love that. Thank you for that.
Uh-huh.
That's your mission statement right there. So, the second candle is the red candle, is called Kuji Chagulia, a Swahili word that means self determination. And that is naming for ourselves, defining ourselves, speaking for ourselves, creating for ourselves. Just we have a lot of our history is other people doing things to us, other people.
Right.
It's very one-sided, it's very top down, it's very degrading, it's very dehumanizing. And so the second principle really calls us to speak for ourselves, create for ourselves, and be proud of the gifts and talents and abilities that we have within our individual selves, and put the best forth effort into the actions. And I know this part of the year, everybody's reflecting on, what went well this year? What can you do better this year? For new resolutions and stuff. So, um, self-determination really speaks to us as the individual. Like, what are we going to do to promote unity
Mm-hmm.
in the community on an individual level? And so yesterday was the 27th. And so self determination, I am determined to start a business, and I'm only steps away. And I dedicated some hours towards that goal, so I can support my community as a licensed clinician. And so
Nice.
that is, there's lots of ways. People think it's just, spending money or writing a check, or because you're doing that yourself, but it's not. There's really there's not there needs to be a sacrifice attached to it, to
Sure.
make it the commitment have some meaning, I think. And so I've been working on this goal since 2015, but the ancestors and all my elders and my parents and my village of support, got me through 2 kids, 2 degrees. So I and year, 2 decades of working in public ed.
Yes.
That's nothing to sneeze at. And so I'm very proud of
No,
that.
it's not. And talk about self-determination, right? I mean, this is
Yes,
like
ma'am.
that is that's really impressive, because
Yes, ma'am.
and they think that we don't stop and reflect on, you know, how much work we do put into ourselves,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
very often we have these external messages from the world that say we're not enough, and that we don't fit into the box that is considered um, worthwhile, right?
Yes.
So you're
Yes.
not light enough. Your hair's not, you know, whatever enough. And
Yep. I wanted white girl
it,
hair too when I was little. I put a towel on my head and would pretend like it was my hair because I didn't appreciate my hair. I appreciate the hell out of my hair now. But, all
yes,
those hidden subtle messages do hurt your esteem and your self-worth.
right, right. And so I think that, uh, this reminder of self-determination and all the things that we do that define us, right?
Yes.
That we choose to define ourselves,
Yes.
are are valid and are wonderful and should be. So this is it is a great time. It is the time of the year where we stop and we think about where we want to go next year and how we're going to be better. But it's always, I feel, from a place of deficit rather
Mm,
than summing up, wow, I did all these great things, rather than
yes.
well, I didn't hit that goal that I was aiming for, and next year I'm really gonna do that thing.
And that does
But
not discount A, B, and C, and D, and E, and all the things that you did. My
right,
goodness, just because you didn't do
yes,
X, Y, and Z. Can I
yes,
pause to celebrate you on your
sure.
reelection?
Oh yes, thank you, thank you,
Felicidades.
thank you.
Tooting
So
your
I, in
horn.
in
So,
addition to being the chair of the Davis Phoenix Coalition, I'm also a council member for the city of Davis, and I ran a campaign to be on council again, and it was a hard fought um, campaign,
did you
and
use Coochie Julia?
yes, yes,
I bet you did.
yes, I
I bet
did,
you did.
yes.
So
So
the
I'm
third,
glad to be on. Thank you for mentioning that.
yes, we don't toot our horns enough. And
Yes,
the message to shrink and make yourself small is not a good one. And so you know, I'm very proud of you and who you are and the voice and your platform. So thank you so much for the work that you do in uniting the
thank you.
community. The third principle I taught myself it rhymes with three, so it's ujima. So because the fourth one is ujama, so that's how I remember three and four together. Three rhymes with ujima, and that is collective work and responsibility. And that is how we both know Bahia because she's also doing the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so she practices Ujima every day in her day job, in her after day job, with her family, with her friends, with her allies. And so that collective work just the Swahili word is ujima, and it means collective work and responsibility. Just so the burden is shared. Trying to trying to build a strong community takes work, takes action, and so I work with the youth, and so that takes another set of skills, and so you work with the public, that takes another set of skills, and so we're all equipped to use our self-determination, our own unique talents and giftings and abilities and strengths and assets and all the things that make us us for some purpose to better the community. And so that's what principle three is about: coming together to share the load.
That, yeah, and very often, in the activist community, uh, very often there's this lament that there's not enough people to share the load, right? That
Yes.
that you need more folks to step in. That it's always the same few people that are speaking up, that are doing the
20% do
work.
80% of the work.
Yes, yes, and how to attract more people to do that work, and especially around diversity and inclusion. It's such heavy work that
Yes.
people find that it's a burden. right?
Yeah.
You don't
I
want.
hate to use that word, but sometimes it does feel like that. Like Kwanzaa gives me a chance to be positive about my blackness and celebrate it,
Yes,
and I should every
exactly.
day. But every
Yes,
day I'm driving to work, I'm, working in these my spaces where I work, and I'm surrounded, and like you said earlier, it is isolating, but I don't have to worry about living while black right now. I get to just celebrate, you know, um, the proud culture that I have, that I'm a part
yes,
of, that I get to be a part of. So
yes. And so that so it's important to find joy. So
yes.
when we have our meetings, I try to remind people as I can that you know we have to have fun as well, and we have to find some joy and some silliness in what we're doing, because
Yes.
that it doesn't mean that we have to you know be on that grind all the time.
Right.
That
Fight the
sometimes
power. That's
right.
exhausting.
It is, it is. And so you've got to dance.
Yes, you reminded me of our superintendent, Matt Best. His word of the year is fun, because all that public ed has gone through with the pandemic and online learning and mental health of kids and the learning loss and all of that. He was like, no, this year we're going to have fun. And I appreciate that message that he gave in his beginning of the year speech to staff about, let's not forget, because this work is hard. And so let's
Yes.
not forget to comfort each other, support each other, make each other laugh, eat in the lunchroom, eat away from your
Yes.
desk, those types of things, to build that community
Uh-huh.
so you don't feel so
Yes.
alone.
Yes. 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 I think that is apps. That's so important. Yes.
Yes. Are you ready for the fourth one?
I am.
Ujima. Ujima is 3, Ujama is 4, and that one is cooperative economics or collective economics. It's either cooperative or collective. Um, the idea that what I have, you have, all needs get
Huh.
met if we all share. No one's being stingy or greedy, or no one is being overly generous to where they're not being cognizant of their family's budget. Everybody knows you got bills to pay, but it's because there's so much need in the world. Principle number 4 is, can we pull our resources together, not just money, but also our resources, to so that those who are without can also be seen.
Huh. See, so thank you for that, because that was one that that I've always kind of wondered about, right?
Yeah.
So when I think of economics, I think of business, right? So I think of people who are building businesses,
Yes.
right? And but cooperative economics is the sharing of resources, right?
Yes.
And so um, that's a completely different field.
And I think when people talk about this principle, everybody was like, buy black, small
Yes.
business, black. And we talk about stores that you can, um, what's the word, you can support. So
Hmm.
I think it's bigger than that. It is that, and it's also sharing what you have of your time, talent, and resources,
Uh
and
huh.
money.
Yes. Yes. Right. And I think so often in families who don't have a lot of wealth, because they have traditionally been pushed out of building dynastic wealth,
Yes, I'm still
that
pissed
the
about that. Wait, let me tell you. I finally became a homeowner. I have a condo now, and I'm so
oh
proud of
nice.
myself. But the paperwork was hellish, and one of the documents said something about housing discrimination didn't go away until like the 70s or 80s, and I was like, like jaw dropped. I was like, that is not
Yes.
that long ago.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
crazy. That's
Yes.
crazy. And so I'm still pissed about, being forced out and not given equal opportunity to create wealth like others have.
Right. Right.
Rant
And so
ended.
yeah, no, absolutely. But I think very often for people who are under resourced and who haven't been given those opportunities, their resources are each other.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yes.
So I think about like my sister who lived with me forever until she bought her house. And she
Mm-hmm.
couldn't have bought her house if she hadn't lived with me,
Right.
you know, because she didn't have like a trust fund to help her put that down payment down. You
You
know,
don't have 10% lying around?
no, you don't.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yes. My
Yes,
sister helped me get into my home, and I sent her a text today. I did a perimeter walk, and I was like, "This is a beautiful place. You are very grateful. You are very blessed." And so I sent her a thank you note because I couldn't have done it without my sister and my mom. And I'm living here with my
yeah,
daughter, and so it all stays in the family. It's all
yes,
family created. It's a beautiful thing. I'm just very grateful to be part of that.
yes,
So people who
yeah,
don't have a lot of money, they can spend some of their time giving back to the community. So just because you don't have a
yes,
lot of material wealth, I think is where I think you were going with the point of you don't always have to give money.
right. No, absolutely not. Yeah. And it's how we help ourselves get through, help each other get through.
I know. I've never regretted giving in any way. I think it
Yeah,
always comes back to you, that whole idea about reaping what you sow and good karma. And
right.
so I think this is when I'll talk about Kwanzaa in November. We had an event um, at Emerson Da Vinci Junior
Mm,
Highs at
mm.
our unified campus, and it was called the KIN program, and it stood for Kwanzaa in November because Kwanzaa is
Oh,
calendared for
yeah.
December, and I wanted
Uh-huh.
that abbreviation or acronym, whatever you call it, to mean family. And so family comes together to do these things,
Yeah.
to learn these things, to dance together, to celebrate, diversity together, um, Black history together, and African history, not diversity. Sometimes we get lumped in, and so I want to be make sure that I focus on Black people. Um, but Kwanzaa in November started in 2019. I was still a school counselor there in Davis, where I work for the school district, and the kids are the BSU stands for Black Student Union, and our BSU members of all shades and sizes and colors. Because that's what you get in Davis, right? So it's a safe space. We hope we created it to hopefully be a safe space for us to talk about, their experience in Black skin or dark skin. And some of their stories are still the same as the stories that I experienced, unfortunately. That's the crazy
Mm,
part with
mm.
being an
Yeah,
advisor for BSU. It's like, uh, you know, yeah, we've made a lot of progress, but some things haven't changed. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
How long have you been in
That's
Davis again?
well, I've been there since '89. I've been here since
89.
'89. Since
So it's a
'89. And
bubble, and it's very quaint and it's very lovely, and the community so loves
mhm.
each other. I feel that.
Yes.
I feel that. And
Yes.
so we just want some of that love too. That's all. And I've been welcomed and received. And so um, the BSU kids put on a program in 2019. Then we moved it online into Zoom in 2020, and then 2020 it was also in Zoom. And our program that year was special because I was headed home for my dad's funeral.
Mm,
So he
mm.
passed just last year, and so the
Oh,
first year is really, really hard. And so I'm glad I've had these activities to focus on and honor him by, and,
yeah,
and remember him by,
yeah.
because it really helps
And
with the
keep
grief
him
process,
alive,
I
right?
think.
So, yeah, this is how we
Yeah,
keep
because I
our
see him
loved ones
everywhere now. I
going.
feel like he's always with me in
Yes,
songs and
yes.
words. And so it feels good to not, um, to still feel his presence.
Sure, sure. That's wonderful. I love that idea, and to have something that that kids can really latch onto, right? That
Yes.
that has this like this solidness to it.
Yeah.
I really love that. Thank you so much for doing that. That's really awesome.
I hope the
Um,
BSU kids remember those or still have those memories. I hope so. Fingers
yes.
crossed.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure, I'm absolutely sure that they must.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful. Yes.
The
I was going to ask a question about that, but
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I forgot to write it down, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Was it
You're
related
on
to
to.
cooperative economics and how we all take care of each other
No, I think I
using our
was going to.
gifts?
I think I was reflecting on the kids that are there, and that they have this opportunity, to to have this, to share this, and to just have them opened up
Yeah.
to this. And I hope
Yeah.
it's something that they take away with them. But I also think it's something that has to be repeated, right? So
Yes.
that they don't see it just this one time, but
Yes.
that it's available. And this has
Yes.
been one of the goals that I've had on city council, is to make things visible, to make diversity visible in our community.
Okay.
So, if you are downtown, and there should be like some Kwanzaa something somewhere
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
people can see, right?
It feels good to be
Um,
recognized. It feels good to see
yes,
you all over there. It feels really good.
right. And similarly for any other celebrations that are happening
Yes.
in the world, they should be reflected in the community, because so
Yes.
often I feel, and if this is one of the things, is that you mentioned that Davis is this wonderful place. It's very quaint. It's got all these wonderful things, but also the message that that's not for you, right? Very often I feel that for some folks, it's like, oh, that's nice. I really wish that was for me.
Hmm.
And um, and to make people understand that it's for everyone. And
That's
it's kind of
right.
like a glass. It's not a glass ceiling. It's kind of like this glass wall. You get really close, and then the rest is not for you. Yes, yes.
Yes.
But there are things that you should be included in that. There
That's
was
right.
Mariachi Puente, the
Yes.
group in Davis, right?
Yes.
The mariachi group that has kids, I think is it from sixth to ninth grade or something like this? I forget the age
All the way
range.
up to high school, I believe, and some of them
No,
continue
yes,
into adulthood. My good friend Jimena is over that, and she said when
yes,
she went to the Kwanzaa program, she said the practice of ujima stood out to her when she
yes,
thinks about her work that she values in the community.
yes, and um, and so they wanted to be part of like the tree lighting ceremony in Davis, and I asked that happen,
Hmm.
because that the mariachi music has Christmas music that gets played,
Of
and
course, of
so
course.
but it didn't fit into our idea of
Hmm.
what uh, Christmas celebrations in Davis look like. And
Yes, yes.
so
Did you get pushback?
I um I think initially yes, and so and Jimena came to me and said, "Hey, this we'd really like to do this," and
Yeah.
so that I think I was on HRC, I was in the Human Relations Commission at the time, and
Hmm.
had those conversations.
It's hard work, huh? It's hard
Yes,
work to bust through that glass and says it's
yes,
not for you. It's not for you to play at the Christmas lighting. Yes, it is.
yes,
Thank you for
yes,
that. So they did end up playing, I'm
yes,
assuming?
yes. They did. I don't think they did last year. Maybe the group couldn't bring it together or something.
Mhm.
But I feel anywhere you want to be, that's your space.
Yeah.
Whoever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you for highlighting Mariachi Puente. Great
yes,
organization for you to have a voice. And so I hope that the buzzword this year in education, co-create, we're co-creating with our youth. And so this year for Kwanzaa, or the BSU at the junior high, we had a Kwanzaa carnival. I spelled carnival with a K, and I had these swirl of ideas for the kids to do little stations and different activities to kind of drive home the principles and not just see about it, but do something related to the principle. And I told my co-advisor, I was like, you probably should have talked me out of this idea because it was chaotic and crazy and fun
yeah,
um, and but it got a great attendance, and I think the kids had fun. I hope they learned a little something extra about Kwanzaa, and there weren't a lot of black kids. There were a lot of non-black kids there, and so it was really fun for me to see me sharing. my culture with, you know, non-black youth.
Yeah.
I was giddy. I was like, this is cool.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. You must invite me next time because I'd love to see
Yes. Yeah, we're probably not going to do a Kwanzaa carnival, but we'll see. We'll see.
that.
But yeah, we didn't want to do another Zoom, and so we wanted to bring back something real, something engaging for the kids.
Mhm.
And that's where I use my kaumba, which is the fifth principle. That's my creativity side. As a teacher, you know, we're always doing improvising on our feet. You know, lessons don't always go as planned, and so educators are very good at this principle. This I think it's number 5, and it's Kuumba, Kuumba, and it speaks to our creativity. It speaks to our uniqueness. It speaks to us as no limits, you know, to what you can do. Really, everyone has different talents and abilities. I keep saying that because as a school counselor, you know, they kind of drilled into us that everybody has their own unique path. You know, everybody's on their own different journey, and one of the downsides of being in a college town is the idea that in order to be successful you must do this. And
Right. Right.
you know, I agree and I don't agree, you know, because I've seen success both ways, lots of different ways actually. And so Kuumba really speaks to that creativity um in how you do all things. And the beautiful thing about Kwanzaa is it's not just for 7 days at the end of the year. It's for you to I wrote down when I watched a video on Dr. Karenga. He was saying this is a time for remembrance, this is a time for reflection, and this is a time for recommitment, because the
Mm,
principles
mm.
are for all year. You know, we're due
Right.
this intense celebration, but we need you to be doing these things, you know, all year, 365.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's
Right.
where that Kalumba is a good example of how you can be creative every day, especially to
Sure.
find your joy.
Yes. Yes. To find your joy, and to solve problems. So I find
Yes.
that, before I was on city council, I was a scientist, right? So I worked on campus, and it was about finding solutions and finding, it was problem solving, right? So you're
Yes.
constantly problem solving. And so everyone always asks, how did you make that transition? And I say it's the same thing. So you've got to do the research and you have to come up with a solution. And
Hmm.
oftentimes you have to think outside the box. Oftentimes you have to be
Yes.
creative.
Yes.
And I think this is true in anything that you do. It has to, you, there's so much fun in the searching for the thing that's going to fix this thing or that's going to make this work, and
Yes.
then it's such a sense of accomplishment when you
Yes.
have worked something out, and all of that is
Yes.
creativity. And I
Yes,
think
it is.
oftentimes people get hung up because, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do and it's going to be so hard. Um, but it I think that if you reframe it as kind of this journey
Yes.
of discovery, then
Yes.
it is something joyful. It's
Yes.
not
Have
something
fun. Be
that you have to.
curious.
Yes, be curious, exactly. So, and
Yes.
I think we have to teach our kids this. We have to instill this in our kids that this is going to be an adventure, and
Right. A learning
sometimes your adventure.
adventure. Lifelong
Yes,
learner. Hashtag
yes,
lifelong learner.
right, right. And unfortunately, sometimes our adventures beat us up, but
Yes.
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 Okay,
Yeah. Creativity isn't given a lot of space. That's why I think there's a lot of focused legislation on music and art and in the schools. And so I'm glad to see the focus coming back on that, as the whole child is not just, you know, the three R's. And
sure.
so we, in order to not be overwhelmed by, you know, all the different things that you can do, all the different choices that we have now in 2022, take one step towards principle 6, which is your purpose, which is NIA,
Right.
NIA. Just take one step. and take one step in figuring out if this is something you like or you enjoy or that you can see yourself doing. So purpose, everyone has purpose, everyone has a calling, everyone has a destiny, everyone has something they're good at. Everyone does. I really do believe that.
Right.
And so
Yes.
that is what Nia means, purpose. What comes to mind for you when you hear purpose?
For purpose is community, right? So that's always been what draws me, is working in the community, is forming community, is getting people to be connected to each other. So
Yes.
um,
That's your
I
singular
I
focus, that you're laser focused on.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, absolutely, and
One purpose.
um, making sure that everybody gets brought along, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Thank you for reminding me of that communities have purpose too. And so everybody kind of gets going on doing their own thing, that you forget that you're a part of the whole. And so um it's good to be reminded of that.
yeah.
The seventh principle, let's see, six is Nia, seven is Amani, Imani, and that means faith. And that is
Um,
really being hopeful, continuing to persevere, continuing to endure. The journey is not always fun. Sometimes there's potholes. It's not always rainbows and puppies, and every day is
sure,
not, as an adult, especially, there's just a lot of hard things that you got to go through. And so I think faith speaks to um, the hope that tough times are temporary, no feelings last forever, and that look at what our forefathers did, look at what our foremothers did, look at what our predecessors did before us, look at how much they accomplished and lived and did during the time that they were given. And so
mm,
it's just an inspiring to light the seventh candle on the seventh night, which is January 1st, um, to remember to light the light of faith, confidence
yes,
that
yeah.
we can be better together.
Right, right. And that looking into the future, right, is and believing that there's going to be a future, right? That there's going to
Yes.
be goodness out there in the world still.
Yes.
That sometimes takes all your faith.
Yes,
So,
it does. I know some kids are doom and gloom about the climate, but I think that's something that really important as our common home,
mm,
Mother Earth,
sure,
that we can just have that one purpose, single minded to do better and take better care of her. So the kids are hopeful.
absolutely.
I'm hopeful.
Yes. So I grew up in a household that was very religious, and I've sort of moved away from that, but haven't moved away from this idea that there's something bigger out there that kind of holds us together, and that you can lean on, and that that you can draw strength from,
Yeah.
and move forward, because the forward motion, it requires some fuel, right?
Yes, it
and
does.
that and that fuel is, for me, it's faith, right? it's
Yes.
it's the belief that you can do this, you can keep going, you
Yes.
can make this happen.
Sí se puede.
um Si se puede. That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right. So I see that we're getting to the end here, and
Yes.
I just want to thank you so much for sharing your perspective on these seven principles that are so beautiful, and that really, as you said, they have to be lived throughout the entire year. And
Yes.
so I thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Gloria. It was a pleasure talking to you. And there's so much more to say about Kwanzaa, but I'm glad we were able
Yes.
to discuss each principle and give some practical pointers on how people can apply it.
Yes, thank you, thank you, and I will be connecting with you afterwards, because I have questions, um,
Yes.
and I have ideas, and all of that, and um, so I think that at this point I am supposed to let people know to tune into It's Your Voice next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on w4cy.com or Talk 4 TV. And may we all have enriching conversations and diversity this week. And thank you for listening.
Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the heart. Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the heart. Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the